Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Breaking Free podcast. I'm your host, Nathan Francis. Today, grateful to be joined by Jason Christoff again for fifth or sixth time. Jason, you're not my most interviewed guest, but I think it's fair enough because you've helped me so much in my life and on my journeys. I was talking to you about off air, and if it wasn't for you, I wouldn't be where I am now with this platform because you gave me that extra nudge to go, you know what, you can do these things. I just needed someone like you to be like, you know what, Nath, just go and do it, mate. So, Jason, welcome back to the platform. Lots going on in the world. And I thank you for all that you're doing and all that you have done. And yeah, I appreciate you, mate. So I'd let you know.
Hey, I appreciate it, Nathan. I'm proud of you. You're doing great work.
Nah, thank you. So with the world today, mate, we got fuel prices skyrocketing. We got some uncertainty in the financial space. You know, you've been very vocal about that. So what's going on from the lens of Jason Christoff?
Well, I mean, if I gave you what was going on from the lens of Jason Christoff, you'd have a hard time following it. So I just tell people, look, it's nothing you see is organic. It's all manufactured. It's all pre-planned decades in advance. And I know that that is going to be hard to believe. But I also tell people, look, don't believe what I'm saying. So if you want to go to the source documents of this group who brags, like literally brags, that they're planning it 50, 70 years ahead or more, they do have documents that you can go look so that you can educate yourself because you're not going to understand the world unless you understand that nothing you're seeing today is happening organically. So, some of those source documents that are entertaining to read or listen to, I always tell people start with a written document called the Toronto Protocols. And unfortunately, it is called the Toronto Protocol 666. And yes, I'm aware that's the number of the beast, but it was in 1967 meeting with the six biggest electrical conglomerates, six biggest agriculture, and I think, six biggest pharmaceutical and some other. This is why it was called 666. So it was in Toronto, Canada. That's why it's called the Toronto Protocols. And there was a reporter at the time, and these reporters weren't censored. And he heard about the meeting, and he decided to tag along and write down what was going on in the meeting. And he was there, and he was a very good reporter. His name was Serge Monast. And when he was there, he was doing the old eye roll back and forth. It's like, are you guys serious? Am I on candid camera? What's really going on here? You can't really be serious that you're planning this attack. And the primary vision of their attack was basically they used some Shakespearean language, which Serge Monast does listen to the Toronto Protocols, and he says, it's the great genocide for the massive profit, and that's how the meeting started. And basically, it went on from there to describe a modern version of bread and circuses
Mm.
that were going to be implemented on the public. And they did go into great detail on the bread and circuses. So to get to their massive profit through genocide, they would have to really focus on the bread and circuses, and they had their own name for it called the wandering spirit of man. So psychologically, they determined that the human being could be almost titillated and entertained to death, and they would do everything to put as much entertainment and self-gratification on the table as possible so that the average human would not notice the changes that the ruling groups were making, sort of surrounding them, like, ambushing them, surrounding them completely with government policy and procedural changes that left no exit unlocked for the population to escape through when they would finally see that this e-prison, this electronic prison was built around them. So
Hmm.
that is one, one document. And of course, if you look it up, I mean, don't be so naive to think that they're going to frame this on the mainstream internet sites as anything but a conspiracy theory. And it's not. It was a real meeting. Serge Manasse was a real reporter. After he published the book about the meeting, he was heavily attacked by the systems and structures they were bragging about, like the court system attacked Serge Manasse, the legal system attacks Serge. Everybody attacks Serge, and fun, you know, he died of a heart attack at 50s, in his late 50s, I believe, right? And of course, there's one other testimony. So that's a document people can go read. Now, there are also a document and recordings called the Dr. Richard Day
Mm.
tapes. And those are a doctor in 1969 who felt bad for about 80 of his doctor friends. Dr. Richard Day admittedly was a high-ranking secret society member. He actually named the secret society as called the Order. He did say, "This is the society I'm part of. It's called the Order, and we are in charge of all governments. East and West, they all bend a knee to us for various reasons." And he said, we're going to do these 120 things over the next 70 years. And although you can't conspire to stop them, I'm just telling you because I care about you. Maybe you can sidestep them a little better and prep properly so that you don't get thrown in the sacrificial volcano like other folks. And Dr. Richard Day, and there was the only reason we know about this. I mean, Dr. Richard Day said, "No one repeat this, or I could be killed by my own secret society," which is the punishment if you break some of the rules. But there was a guy, a Dr. Lawrence Dunnigan, in the audience who said, "I'm going to write this down anyway once I get home." And he did write it down. And as he wrote it down, and as Dr. Lawrence Dunnigan was listening, he thought it was all poppycock because there's no way that the society could change this radically, and there could be no way people could be this evil. And there's no way his friend, who was a medical professor at Pittsburgh Medical School, could actually be part of a society this evil. So he had all the psychological nudging that this had to be complete and utter liarrhea until he started living his next 2 decades, and everything Dr. Richard Day said came true. And so Dr. Lawrence Dunnigan said, "Okay, this is a lot worse than I had initially thought." So 20 years later, he said, "I have to go public." And that's what the Dr. Richard Day confessions are. And for anybody out there who, would comment, and there are a lot of bots too. So be careful of the comments in the YouTube comment section or wherever you put this. Okay, Nathan, even if you put it up on social media, everybody should be aware that everybody will be concerned about the two citations I just spoke about. But there will be bots. So the bots are algorithmic commenters that are there to psychologically disturb anybody who believes what I'm saying. So there'll be a lot of comments. "You're an idiot. You're a moron. Where's your tinfoil hat? The conspiracy theory is strong in this one." And there are commenters there to psychologically manipulate you. So please be aware that out of the 120 truth bombs let out by Dr. Richard Day, please be aware of one of them that will affect everybody, and or anybody that thinks this is too far-fetched to be real, that
Mm.
nothing you're seeing is organic. Because Dr. Richard Day openly said there are two reasons everything is in the news, and there's two reasons everything your government does. And we're in control of the real reason. So our group knows the real reason, which is always anti-public, anti-Joe and Jane coffee shop, anti-life, anti-connection, anti-reproduction. anti-love, anti-compassion. It's just anti-God. It's anti-human. So they said that's the basis of how we roll. Now, please be aware that he said if you are too dumb, and this is for anybody that thinks this is far-fetched, listen carefully. So the people who are saying they're doing this to you purposely and who admit it also add in that if you're too stupid to see what's happening, as he also added, it's so obvious that we're lying to you, that if you're too stupid to figure it out that you deserve to die. So for anybody out there that thinks anything I'm going to say is far-fetched, please be aware that they have a nice sacrificial volcano catch basket for anybody too stupid or too naive or too infantilized to even maybe look up the Toronto Protocol 666, get through the psychological barrier where it's framed as a conspiracy theory, and actually read the document where they openly admit they're coming for you and your children, and that everything you see is not organic, and everything you're seeing today, including the fuel shortage, is planned by them. It's not happening off the cuff. They want it to happen, and it leads to XYZ in their plan. So there you go.
Yeah, so very true. And for anyone out there listening and watching, what is the end goal?
Well, the end goal can sometimes change depending on the pushback, but the
That's
end
true.
goal is these people are pirates. So they are pirates. Just like any other pirate, they are in the theft business. So
Hmm.
you, Joe and Jane Public, you've sat there and have been subject to what's called Fabianistic approach
Hmm.
with their pirating. So you call them taxes. They don't need the taxes for the roads. They need the taxes for their plans. And they know you would respond violently to big increases in theft. So in like the early 1900s in Australia, there was no taxation.
That's true.
There was tariffs, but that was, point of sale, contact. There was no, if you weren't buying anything, no one's taking your income. So they started, and they would give their excuses. We're going to implement maybe for the First World War that we're going to roll back. This was their narrative. So this group has been in charge the whole time. So everything I'm saying, it's the same group. They pass down their pirating skills generation to generation. That's why in Canada we have Justin Trudeau as our past prime minister. But before, in the 1970s, it was his dad, Pierre Elliott Trudeau, who also has a very dark background if you look into what he was famous for. So they pushed your taxation, your piracy, and your theft, lying to you every step of the way because they know the real reason. And if you're too dumb to notice, you deserve to perish, which, a lot of people have been perishing in the former Commonwealth nations because of the armed dart Olympics.
Hmm.
That again, were not armed darts to make you healthier or improve your immunity, but I'm sure some people have figured that out by now. So they've pushed you into this zone where you're probably paying anywhere between 30 and 65% of your income, not just in taxes. So maybe it might be 45% maximum taxation rate. Even if you're $1 million earner, they're going to take 45%. But then the levies and fees and surcharges beyond that property tax, you're up around 60 to 65%. So this group of pirates, so we're getting to the end goal here. So the group of pirates are like, well, if they're dumb enough, and of course they are, I mean, and no one's born this dumb. So when I go out and throw out this not accusation, a firm description of how stupid the average person is, I will let them know you were not born this stunned. They put the school system in place. It's a dumbing down system to make you completely inept on every facet of your life possible. And if you want proof of that, that they conspired to make the school system to make you stupid, you can go to the book by School Teacher of the
Oh,
Year in New
okay.
York City and New York State, by John Taylor Gatto, called Weapons of Mass Instruction, for again their own words, telling you how stupid they're going to make you.
Yep.
So again, you get pushed into this group's trap where they're looking around in the boardroom, and you could fit this group into a small office tower, and if we blew up that office tower, we would all have amazing lives. So they're looking around and knowing, well, we're not done, are we? Right? They look around at each other and they're like, if they're stupid enough to give up 40 to 65% of their income, and they're aware that when we run for office, we've never said there's a limit. Like anybody that stands in line and votes for one of these pedophile, pedivore, dark, figures, has to question their own sanity. Absolutely.
Mm.
So they're looking around in their boardroom and they know they're not done because they're only at 65%. Like if you give a pirate willingly without rebellion or pitchforks or torches or armed rebellion 65% of your income, you think the pirates meet and say, that's it? I think we're at the limit. Well, you're not at the limit, aren't you? Like, are you at 100%? Because 100% is the limit. So, and it's not just 100% of your income. It's 100% of everything you've saved as well. So they've written laws while you're, inside their agenda of the wandering spirit of man, while you're down at the titty bar and when you're on the porn having
Mm.
a tug,
Mm.
and when you're basically drunk at the pub, and the drunkenness has become part of your culture, where you can't even imagine not drinking
Mm.
for the weekend. And if you're not drunk, you're eating out. And if you're not eating out, you're watching a movie. And if you're not watching a movie, you're hitting a vape stick or smoking a cigarette, doing some coke or doing the joint. Guess who coordinated all that?
Mhm.
They did. If you look into who's brought in the liquor and the drugs, they're on your street because they're meant to be on your street, the illicit drugs. So basically, they've written all the policies by which they can trigger emergencies, right? Like the COVID emergency. So they've written policies where they can declare anything an emergency. Too cold weather, emergency. Too hot weather, emergency. Not enough rainfall, emergency. A fake pandemic, emergency.
Fuel
Gas
shortage.
shortage, yeah, food shortage, emergency. Gas shortage, emergency. Okay. And the emergency, why they love it, is because the way they've written it, you lose all your human rights when they declare an emergency,
True.
right? You
Mm.
lose all your rights, the rights to your property, the rights to your money, the rights to defend yourself, the rights to have legal representation, the rights to have your memorandum rights read to you upon arrest, the right to have a credible charge while being taken into custody by the state, all gone. And in the United States, there's something called the PrEP Act. 2005, it was passed by both parties because, just like Dr. Richard Day said, we control both sides.
Mhm.
Both parties, where it said if we declare an emergency, not only do you lose your human rights, we can kill you, and you don't have any legal avenues to hold us to account. And the PrEP Act is triggered by an emergency declaration. It was triggered in 2020 with the COVID emergency declaration. They had the chance to rescind it, but the Americans don't even know that declaration of COVID emergency was extended to December 31st, 2029.
Mm.
So every American right now, and And you can see how effective the mind control is, because in these two documents, they say the mind control is a very effective weapon. So you have the Americans, and all this documentation and policies and procedures are in effect in all the other, in Australia, Canada, the UK, Pakistan, India, because they're all former UK colonies, which they let go figuratively to give you the impression that you're independent. They give you an Independence Day, they give you an Australia Day, they give you a couple days off. You think you're independent, you're down getting hammered down at the local pub. You think things are great, and that's what they want.
Mhm.
For you to think that the freedom fight is over. So in the US today, the mind control has the population bisected against themselves, where some are endorsing the current administration, other ones want the former administration in, and they don't realize this is like wrestling. This is like wrestling. They are, Randy Macho Man Savage and Hulk Hogan, they travel on the same bus. They cash checks from the same top level boss. The reason they pretend they're fighting isn't for them, it's for you. It's for you, the audience member. It's to keep your bum in the seat. And when your political parties fight in Australia, the fake fighting is like wrestling. It's not for them, it's for you to believe a certain narrative. So you keep sitting there on your couch. So that's your stadium seat for the wrestling match. You're not in a stadium watching this uniparty wrestling battle. You're at home with the TV on, you're either sitting down or cleaning up your condo or cleaning up your house, and you're meant to believe that Hulk Hogan and Randy Macho Man Savage are really enemies. And what's funny is the more ferociously they fight, the more you believe this story. And if they really kill someone, that's the time you believe it is fact.
Mm.
So this group of pirates, because the way human psychology works, because they know that if they fake fight, eventually it might be found out. But if they fake fight and have real death, this is where the average person believes this is real. It really cements it as absolutely real. So the 100% theft is the end goal, and they're getting close to the end goal where they can declare, like, the COVID emergency was based on a fictitious airborne threat that
Mhm.
could neither be denied nor proven by the average person. So it was simply a psychological threat, which, made most people put their hand down and take a knee. Now, this one is going to be an equally fabricated gas shortage, but you will be able to confirm with your eyes that the gas station is closed, or that there's stay at home orders to work from home to save gas, stay home, save petrol,
Mhm.
right? Or the license plates with the even numbers. They can travel on the even days of the week, and vice versa for the other license plate holders on different days. So this group knows at that point the whole economy comes to a halt, and that's where they have their policies pre-made, that you have to fold all your assets into this fight. Your house, your bank account, your pensions. We got to suck it up for everybody's grandma. We got to come together against what's happening as one public. Can you imagine, one public, one Australia stand together to, fight the petrol demons, or whatever they're going to say, whatever liar phraseology they're going to use to psychologically manipulate the public one more time. And of course, the triple boosted science trusters who, fell for the con in 2020, they're probably going to be the army of obedient order followers that kickstarts this entire spiral into the abyss.
Mhm.
Because once people believe any of this is organic, and there's barge There's barge operators with whole barges full of crude and gasoline,
Mm.
already refined gasoline, off all the coasts of all our countries, tweeting, I'm
Yep.
not allowed to make dock,"
Hmm.
right? So all of this is complete and utter liarrhea. And again, it's all contrived. There are some people dying because you won't really get scared otherwise. No one official, like no one in the club is dying. They have no problem sacrificing members of the public to make other members of the public believe this is a real fight. So what started in the Middle East was we're going to go save the Iranian women. And it's quickly, that was quick. That turned pretty rapidly where they said it sounded great to get the ships out of the dockyards in America, that they're on a heroic mission to save the Iranian women from tyranny. But then the first day they blow up 170 Iranian school children, most of them females, with two Tomahawk missile strikes. And then they're blowing up a refinery in Iran, which lit the entire sewer system on fire, killing and maiming plenty of people there. And now you can see the real agenda is Donald Trump, of course, who controls absolutely nothing, saying that if you don't open the Strait of Hormuz, we're going to blow up other energy sources. Well, why don't you just go open it up yourself? What, like, how does that make any sense? You have the biggest navy and army, most powerful navy and army in the world. Go open the Strait of Hormuz. Why do you have to say if you don't open it, we're just going to sit back and we're going to bomb your oil refineries, your gas fields, your pipelines, and your electrical sources? Why wouldn't you just go in and clear out the Strait of Hormuz? And someone says, well, the mines are there. It's all mined. Well, do we think it's a coincidence that the U.S. Navy just recently retired their four minesweepers
Mm.
because they could easily have cleared the minefield in the Strait of Hormuz because they do it all in advance. So now the U.S. Navy's like, oh, we just retired those ships. We'll bring them back. But that's the narrative. They have these ready excuse narratives so that it can go where it's designed to go. And so that all the slaves do their bidding for the big daddy slave master. So that the slaves get on the ships, get in the fighter jets, get boots on the ground now, and because they use us to enslave ourselves. So this is what's going on in the world today. If it was 2 weeks ago, I could tell you a similar opening story for the first 20 minutes, but it would be some other facet of the bigger piracy, the bigger piracy. So the end goal is they're going for 100%.
Mm.
You got crypto, you got gold bullion, you got bullion in, some far away, you got bullion in Singapore, you got some in your house, you got an RSP, you got your house paid off. They don't, that's what's attracting them to you. They want that. They're not content at taking 60% of your income as you build any wealth. Because if you ever found out how destructive, evil, and satanic these pedophiles and pedophores were, you'd use that extra 40% leverage maybe to do something about your slavery. They don't
Yep.
want you to have any power. They don't need your money. They just don't want you to have it so that you'd never turn on them and stick your head up and get off your knees, right?
Mm.
So that they got you. So that's why they want 100%. So you're disempowered. You're a completely castrated and impotent citizen who'll do exactly what you say. And when they're done with you, they just V-dart you off the planet when you're a surplus to requirement. Because all this, to be honest with you, is about, and don't forget, the easiest way to get 100% of your wealth for people who don't understand how evil this group is, they're aware that you listening today might have a husband or a wife. They're aware that maybe you have children, maybe you have two children. But are you aware that if your children don't have children because they make it illegal, or they sterilize your kids with the V dart, or they financially incentivize your children not to have their own children, are you aware that your inheritance or property trans migration through beneficial willing, like when you pass your property on to your children via a will, are you aware that when they have no one to will their belongings to, which might be a combination of their savings and your savings, are you aware that it goes to the state? Are you aware of that?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And if you give it to the church or a charity, are you aware that Dr. Richard Day and the Toronto Protocols do brag that they're in charge of all those as well? So in the end, whether you gift it away or whether you just die suddenly to the point where you don't have a will or you have no one to bequeath your inheritance to, that it still goes to the same group who organized all this liaria. So that's the end goal. And I know people, like, there's a point where, you got to wake up.
Yeah.
You really got to wake up and understand, to fight this, all you need to do is understand their mentality is that they trick you into screwing yourself. So if you don't speak up, you're screwing yourself.
Yeah.
Okay? So their power is in tricking you to shut up and participate. And you know why they have to trick you through all this wrestling narrative? Do you know why? Because they don't have the power to do it by force. So that's where you see their cards. They're showing you their hand of cards. That if you don't comply with their liaria, they don't have the power to come get you. So stop complying. Stop it. And if you want to understand how they trick you, the methods by which they trick you, that's why I made my documentary Planet Mind Control. And I set it out in the most simple terms. I don't care how who you are. You will be entertained by the film, you will be educated by the film, and none of it will be above anybody's pay grade whatsoever. Go to planetmindcontrol.com. There's a trailer there. Go below the trailer, put your email in, and the full film will show up for free. It's my gift to humanity. It's been watched tens of thousands of times, almost 100,000 times now. And we don't need a lot of people to awaken before it spreads like wildfire to their friends and family. So understand that what's going on in the Middle East is a WrestleMania event.
Mm-hmm.
So the regular wrestling events, if you were to go to the Vince McMahon events when I was a kid, it would be basically no name wrestlers, and we'd have one fight between two famous wrestlers. WrestleMania event, sometimes there's every fight is a main name wrestler. And sometimes during the main event, you're going to have teams come out.
Mm-hmm.
The Rock and Hulk Hogan and, the Undertaker on one team, and they're beating up one
Stone Cold
guy.
Steve Austin.
Stone Cold Steve Austin is maybe trying to fight all three, but
Yeah.
then out of the back hallway comes another four superhero,
Mm.
superhero wrestlers to help Stone Cold Steve Austin. And then everybody's up in arms, losing their mind.
Mm.
It's the story, the narrative, folks. It's for you, the audience member, because this isn't a $150 per seat event. This is 100% of your wealth event.
Mm.
So you understand the profit motivation. Vince McMahon, he's still doing wrestling for 150 a seat. Can you imagine a business where it's 100% of their income plus 100% of all their assets. That's the entry ticket. You
Mm.
don't think there's a profit motivation, and you don't think you could hire an aircraft carrier and hire political officials inside Iran and buy CBS and buy entire cabinets in the political systems of all the countries. You don't think there's enough money in that event in this orchestrated business? This is a big business. Entertaining you to death is a big business. Stealing all your wealth is a big business. They got enough profit coming in to fund all of what I'm saying, with the big reward and the big profit coming in where they shut your gas stations down and all you do is stick your thumb up your ass and say, hey, there's no gas. Yeah, yeah. War in the Middle East. Yeah. War in the Middle East. Don't you know? Right? That's what they want you to say because you're a node in the lie. That's what they want you to be, is a node in the liaria, so that you lie to your neighbors, friends, and family like they lie to you. This is a war in the Middle East. There are people dying because that fortifies and cements the lie in your head like it's a real thing. But the end goal, and Iran is in on it.
Hmm.
The US is in on it. Israel is in on it. Latvia is in on it. When I say those names, I don't mean the Jewish people. I don't mean the American people. I don't mean the Australian people. I don't mean the Latvian people. I mean the people that are paid pennies to completely screw over their populations. Like even in Latvia today, they said, oh, and what's called Operation Good Guy
Mm.
is already rolling in Australia. It's rolling here in Latvia. It's rolling in Sweden. It's rolling in California. And it's rolling in Italy. And it will roll everywhere because they're all controlled by the same group. So Operation Good Guy is where, the magical Pied Piper comes back and it says, we're the government. We're here to help. Like Ronald
Yep.
Reagan says, the most dangerous phrase you'll ever hear in your life is, hi, I'm from the government and I'm here to help. So now they're getting the public back under the spell, like the government is the good guy. That's why it's called Operation Good Guy. They're saying they're going to reduce the taxes on some of the fuel to
That's right.
lower the fuel. So everybody's like, okay, so psychologically, and don't forget, I've spoken on mind control on the floor of the US Senate, on the floor of the EU Parliament, on the floor Japanese Parliament, Romanian Palace of the Parliament. I've spoken on mind control on the floors of those institutions. Now, when the government comes out and says they're going to be uh, standing with you, only 5 years ago, they couldn't throw enough poison arm darts into your shoulder. They couldn't do that enough and close all your businesses. But here comes the Pied Piper again to put you under a spell, to say, we're going to stand with you. But what they're really doing is they're saying, let me try to solve this.
Yes.
And I'm going to solve it in a way where you think I'm on my side.
Mm.
So that's a psychological manipulation. The same government that taxes you back into the Stone Age, the same government that censors your speech, the same government that facilitated the armed dart died suddenly Olympic Games. They're suddenly, yeah, we're on your side now. Bullshit.
Hmm.
Okay. So again, please go back to the Dr. Richard Day tapes. If you're too stupid to figure this out, you deserve what's coming, admitted to by that group. So what they're doing is saying, we're going to try and solve it. So that psychologically allows the public's energy to be given over to the ruling group for solving the issue. So now the energy of solving the issue has been transferred through altruistic pathways to the ruling group. Now the ruling group's like, okay, we got it. They gave us the control. And so in 4 weeks, where the war goes on, because it's meant to go on, it's meant to continue, the same transfer of power is in play, and the group says, well, that's not working. So it's going to be 2 weeks to stay at home
That's
to
it.
flatten. Right. Here we go. Here we go again. And, the triple boosted science truster will be like, trust the news, trust the government. I'm too lazy to rule myself or even speak up, which is the weapon that scares this group the most. Speaking up against them scares them the most, because it can be contagious for certain psychological reasons. It can be heavily contagious through the population. So this is what's going to happen is, so they're going to start with, we're going to take care of you, just have some trust in us. So the trust is given over, because what member of the slave class doesn't like a little lowered gas prices? So now the government looks like the hero again. And then again, it's going to be the stay-at-home orders, banning of travel, airlines are going to shut down, and then food prices are going to go through the roof because you can't transport the food from the countryside. So they'll say, as the barges sit out full of gas and crude, where they're not allowed to land them, and they're going to say, don't worry, we have the everybody's lost their job, or most people lost their job now. Everybody's starving. Don't worry, we have the 3D printed meat by Bill Gates. We have
That's right.
the fake milk. We have the fake cheese. We don't have to transport it. We got it right very close to the urban areas. We have the crickets. We're going to set up 15-minute zones so that no one can drive everywhere. So we're going to make sure there's a grocery store in every 15-minute zone that's selling. They're there already,
They
folks. Like, if
are.
you look around here, if you look around in Latvia, every certain amount of time from every other area, you have the same grocery stores. Like, we have Lido, we have Remi, we have Maxima, and the average person doesn't know they're all working together. They
Mm.
took over those corporations long ago, using your money in the stock market, using your money, using it's all based on using your energy to trap yourself. And so they're going to be the ones told, or they're not going to get any more loans, or they'll be delisted off the stock markets, that they have to give the Bill Gates 3D printed meat, the fake milk, the fake cheese, all the vegetables with a peel on it, because we need to transport them a longer distance more inefficiently. So we got to put the toxic pesticides on them and the toxic coatings called the peel. This is exactly what they want. And they're going to say, look, we got to make sure there's enough fake food at the grocery store. So no one's really allowed to move past, the geo fencing, because that food's for this 15-minute area. We have to be fair and equitable. And then they'll say, because you don't have any money, well, we're going to give you the CBDC, the central bank digital currency. You'll only get so much ration for food, and so much for your liquor,
Mm.
and for your weed, and for your smokes, and for your coffee, everything that screws your brain up and makes you a mouth breathing TV watcher. All the poisons will be available. You can drink your face off, eat all the fake meat you want, get as sick as you want. Okay, you'll have no freedoms. And if you go by the geofencing, well, then we're going to just cancel your CBDC. You're going to go down to zero. And someone might say, well, I'll just leave my phone at home. I'm like, they've already implanted in the triple boosted science truster the geo tracking. That's what the injections were for.
Mm.
So you can leave your phone at home. You are the phone if you've taken the COVID shot. You are the phone. They can pick you up on geofencing like this. You're giving up Bluetooth signals. If you haven't watched the documentary Blue Truth, or
Hmm.
the human antenna, go watch Blue Truth or the human antenna. Anybody that's taken the shot is already sending out a GPS signal. So you're not going to be able to go. It's going to be a fenceless concentration camp. So, ladies and gentlemen, the pirates and everything that I'm talking about is about poisoning you, so that your kids or you just aren't living. And so that all your property and your pensions and your bank account can slide into their coffers.
Mm.
So they're just going to do it like they'll say there's a meningitis outbreak. And for your CBDC to work, you got to be up to date with all your shots, your meningitis shots. And again, that'll take out 5% or 3% or 1% of the population. The death from the COVID shots were about accelerated the normal death rate about 0.5% a
Mm.
year.
Yep. 100%.
So that's what's going on, ladies and gentlemen. And they're pirates and they want all your money. The easiest way to get your money is when you're dead. And if you don't think these people have give two craps about you, if you think this group wouldn't do that, go back and read the Toronto Protocols. It starts the meeting. It's called the Grand Genocide for the Big Profit or something near there.
Yeah.
That's how they started the meeting. They don't care about you.
No. Beautiful half an hour answer to the question, though.
Yeah, there you go.
It's true though. It's also true. And if someone's out there listening, watching right now, like, is there a way forward for humanity? Can we turn this ship around?
Absolutely.
I think we can too.
Absolutely. You can turn it around. Number one, it's about power.
Yeah,
They have your power. So, and they're going to take away like, there's like psychological power, financial power. Like, you're giving away your power to rule your life every time you vote.
that's
That's a
true.
transfer of power that
Yeah.
might not be as obvious. Well, let me tell you something. They're going to shut your electricity off somewhere in this game.
Well,
And
that's
if
why we
you
have those
had,
grids. Sorry to cut you off, but that's why we have those grids now, the smart grids, right? Hmm.
yeah,
That's why.
yeah,
Yeah.
they're gonna rotate it. They're gonna say it's rare, and this is
Mm.
why they're blowing each other's electrical grid up. They could just go in and it's easy to go in and take over a country. You don't have to keep. If they wanted to help the country, if they wanted to take it over, why are you going to blow up all the infrastructure? It doesn't make any sense.
Exactly.
So even if you went today and got a foldable, like there's a foldable solar power. I'm just going to give you an example that'll lead into more examples, okay?
Hmm.
There's a foldable, four-fold, portable solar power generator. Anybody can get on Amazon, and you can charge your phone and other devices every single day and God's giving you that energy. That's taking your power back. The power to charge your phone without relying on the grid. That
Yeah.
is the epitome, the structure by which you have to operate. So if
Mm.
you have wood in a wood stove, you just took your power back a little bit more
That's
because
true.
the wood is power. The solar energy is power, and you can get huge solar panels that you can fold out in your yard, and you can charge portable batteries that'll run your fridge. But you don't know about that,
Hmm.
right? So you take back your power there, and then you get a long rifle, right? For hunting, or you get a fishing rod for fishing, and you learn like why don't they teach you what do you think school's for? So you don't know how to clean a gun. So you don't know how to you don't know how to bait a hook. You don't know how to tie a knot on a fishing line.
That's true.
You don't know anything. That you don't know anything that keeps your power in your course.
Mm.
Oh, I just go to the grocery store. Okay. They bought the grocery stores a long time ago, right? So, and what about fuel for your tractor? You could make biodiesel yourself. And that's complicated. But the thing is, do you have a well? That brings your power back a little bit. What about your physical body?
Mm.
Do you keep
Mm.
that at 100%? So you're gonna what? Go drink? Okay, this you have a powerful body. that may be required to fight, physically fight, some sort of mind control stormtrooper that gets their checks from the evildoers. You might have to physically fight. But what are you doing to your body? You're falling for their mind control with the alcohol, the vaping, the cigarettes. They own those companies. They take the profit from those companies and fund everything that I'm talking about.
Yep.
Bill Gates bought Starbucks with his dad in 1986 when it only had 11 stores. It now has 45,000 stores where you give your money to poison your body and disempower yourself. They take that money and ram it right back up your wazoo. They don't sit at home compiling or compounding their profit. They take their profit and give it to the central ruling group to fund whatever needs to be funded next, to bribe whoever needs to be bribed next. So you take your power back a little bit at a time. And this group are like cockroaches. You get the flashlight, they go and scatter because they only work effectively in the dark. If you were to go out and share this video or even do a brief summary of the video, you're doing your part. You're shining your light. Just say, this is what's going to happen and this is why it's happening. That's all you have to do. And then they're in the boardroom going, hey, they're on to us. How'd they
Yeah.
do that? Because their tricks are old. Of course, we're going to know. Everything they do is meant to destroy us. So you have to think like a psychopath. You have
That's
to look
true.
at the news. You have to think like a psychopath. How is this news story? How could it be weaponized to hurt me? How could this event be weaponized to hurt me? How could this event be weaponized to hurt me 5 steps down the road? How could this start a fall of dominoes that destroys me and my family 6 months down the road? That's exactly how you have to think. And then it all comes in together. And your first thing, if you start off believing that the wrestlers are real, you are so behind the eight ball. You have no way of figuring this out. If you think Iran is coming off the top turnbuckle to the Orange Goblin being held down by Bibi Netanyahu wrestler, you are never going to figure this out, ever. They're all working together. And yes, Iran, the government, the small pocket, is against the Iranian people. Look up Iran in 2020. Okay, so you're
Yeah.
telling me it's an Islamic nation, doesn't like the Western values, but Iran purchases Spain's AstraZeneca shot, which had
Mm.
to be pulled from the market because it was the most toxic of the four toxic musketeers that went out that year. Are you telling me this government loves the Iranian people? They hate the Iranian people because they're paid to attack the Iranian people. You're telling me an Islamic nation that hates the West goes and buys a Western AstraZeneca untested armed dart because they're so protective of their people. They'll throw their people under the bus on cue, just like the Canadian government threw their people under the bus, just like the US government threw their people under the bus, just like the Aussie government threw the people under the bus. The Israeli government just this week was shown that there was a 500% increase in teenagers having heart attacks right after taking their COVID shot. That government doesn't care about the people either,
Mm.
period. They all attack their own countries. Now, the thing is, please be aware of the psychology and the brilliance of that. If Iran invaded Israel and told Israelis that there was an untested shot going to be mandated, what would happen?
Mm.
So who's the best wrestler to attack the domestic population? The domestic wrestler. Because
Mhm.
generally the US people never would believe the US wrestler would attack them. The Canadian people would never believe the Canadian wrestler would attack them. The Iranian people would never believe the Iranian wrestler is going to come off the turnbuckle and smash them with a flying elbow. So this group knows that they invented the fake countries just for such an occasion, because there's no more effective way to destroy a population than to employ the domestic government to carry out the operation. So the public has to look. If you're going to look at the news, two things. How can this be weaponized to destroy and make my life worse? And you have to start from the premise that they all work together. Because if you start saying, well, China did this and they want to trade now in the yuan and Taiwan and that and Iran and Iraq, and folks, that's why you're not putting this together. Because you're off, your first step is in the wrong direction. If your first step is in the wrong direction, the farther you walk, the farther you get away from the truth.
Mm. Well said. That was an awesome nearly hour, mate. Just straight truth. And I think people need to hear this now because we're at a point where you either face it and do something about it, or as you say, you sit on the couch with your hands down your pants and just do nothing and you just get blown off anyway. We're at
Yeah,
that
well,
point.
let's get back to the solutions, right? Because
Yes,
I think that's where you
absolutely.
started other end.
Yeah.
So taking your power back, it could be just that portable solar device where they turn the power off. You can still power your computer or your phone. You can get bigger solar panels. That's taking your power back. Stop poisoning yourself with their poisons,
Yeah.
that they mind control you and trick you, manipulate you psychologically to inject or ingest. Stop. Like, you have to keep the power in your body to live, folks. You're a battery. You got to keep it or you're going to die. Right? When your battery gets to zero, you die. That's what death is. Zero charge, zero power left in the physique. So what you need to do is stop poisoning the crap out of yourself based on their lies. And then you need to start going to the heat, everything you need to live. And it might not be everything, but every inch of ground you make, that power is coming into your sphere of influence and leaving their sphere of influence. And stop voting for these pedophiles and pedivores to rule over you. Because, ladies and gentlemen, the way voting goes right now is simple. Me and my neighbor go out and take the garbage out. He voted the different party than me. So I look at him and his party got in. And I look at him and I say, this is not me, because I wouldn't talk like this. This is hypothetical. I say, you son of a bitch. You voted wrong. My life sucks. Then the next revolving door for the wrestlers, my party gets in. We both take our garbage out again. We meet on the corner. He looks over at me 4 years later and says, you son of a bitch. My life sucks because you voted wrong. So we hate each other. We're not united against anything. We despise each other because this is the way the group stays in power. But if none of you voted, you both come out to the corner bringing your garbage, you look over at the same time and said, my life sucks. Your life sucks. We had no say in this. No one voted for this bullshit. Let's go get them.
Literally.
Right? Literally. So the act of voting was never given to you to make you free because they controlled all the outcomes anyway. The act of voting was there to divide us against each other so we would never unite against them, the
Correct.
ruling pedivores and pedophiles who basically bugger children all around the world, with some of them, according to the Epstein files, consuming the children orally. So you think these people are good people? You think they don't have the bandwidth to do what I'm saying when they've already written it down so you could read it? So just understand, I understand. Yeah, you wouldn't do anything like that. Okay, I get it. Doesn't mean they're not doing it to you in plain sight. And it doesn't mean your collective weakness and your domestication in the cities where you know nothing about survival, that doesn't mean you're not going to fail and perish because you refuse to change course. So again, eating properly, getting water, getting out of the cities. And if you're in the city, great. Okay, you're in the city. Are you growing any food in your condo? You can grow tomato plants and cucumbers in windows. People have these big patios and these big elaborate, chaises and furniture. Get that out of there. They're coming to get you.
Yeah.
Start having a garden bed on your patio. So, and if everybody had one of those garden beds on the patio, the power comes back to the people. Start collecting rainwater. See, you have to understand is your cities are artificial environments to make you separate from God. God gives you everything for free.
Yeah.
Everything for free you need to survive is from God. The rainwater, the stream water, the well water, the berries, the fish, the wood. You can go out there anytime. They'll probably allow you to leave at any time. But the people today, the domesticated, infantilized, triple boosted science truster, they don't know how to survive out in God's world. But we did up till about 1,000 years ago. Everybody had to survive out there. The reason they brought us into the cities is testament to how long they've been working on this con job so that we can't survive without our Starbucks. We can't survive without our lip injection. We
Yeah.
can't survive without our vape sticks. They got you, folks. They got you because you're weak. You're a domesticated urban human, right? So start getting your power back. Learn how to hunt. Why can't you just grow a tomato plant? Can you at least grow a tomato plant so you get back to some of the God talents or the God skills where you can sprout a seed? We're doing that right now, myself and my fiance. We're sprouting all the tomato plants, we're sprouting all the pepper plants. Pepper plants have a particular timeline for sprouting. They had to be first. The tomatoes are second. And then we have all the seed ready for the potatoes and the snap peas, and all the raspberries and blueberries are already there. And they told you that it was really cool to come into the city so you could party and titillate your life away. That was the bait, right? That's the
Mm.
cheese where you're like, I'll just go to the grocery store, Starbucks. This is an awesome life. I'll go to the movies. I can have all these chicks or all these guys will fight over me. I'll just get my lips plumped and my bum plastic implant, and bing bang boom, here we go. They got you, folks. That was the trap. That's the cheese in the mousetrap.
100%. 100%. To sum it all up, though, I can see us turning it around, as you said before. But to sum it all up, though, I think you've already summed it up. But to sum it up, though, what would you say to that person now that has actually started asking some questions and is like, okay, well, how can I, especially financially, like what can people do financially right now? Because people are going to be pulled to the brim here, and they're going to be on their knees. People are already on their knees. What can people do financially?
Yeah, well, they're going to have to learn the value of pain. That's the big thing.
I think you're
So
right.
this is a pain adverse society.
Yeah.
Everything that we're addicted to are painkillers. Coffee's a painkiller. Alcohol's a painkiller. Vape sticks, nicotine, they're all painkillers. Scrolling your phone is a painkiller. There's a benefit to pain, right? The answer for the pain is inside the pain.
Well
So the
said.
first thing is, okay, you don't have enough, but start selling everything that you don't need right now. But understand that you might not have access to any other replacements. So keep that in mind right
Yep.
now. Things, women are going to be the most hardest hit here because they say they might be budget strapped, but they do their eyebrows, they do their plumping, their hair, their waxing, their cellulite treatments. The
Yeah.
average woman's budget for, some sort of perpetual beauty process is pretty high. So you have to start fighting with yourself about what is an unnecessary expenditure,
Yeah.
right? You got to start pulling back a little bit because I know you're pushed to the limit. I know you're pushed to the limit. So just make sure you rearrange your life a little bit. Now, I'm having an entrepreneurship program rolling out. Now, Nathan doesn't even know anything about this, but I'm going to teach people how to make money, and it's going to roll out in about 6 weeks. And it's going to include everything you need to make money on the internet until they shut it down.
Yeah.
Okay. So, and it'll give you an entrepreneurial mindset and a business mindset. You can look at the world a little differently. But we're just going to do it as long as we can do it. And it's a good change of mind anyway, because even if there's no entrepreneurial activities to be had, if they shut down the economy, you can also run your life like a business when people don't even know how to do that.
That's true.
They don't even know how to run their life like a business, right? Cut the expenses that aren't necessary and improve, get more efficient in the areas that count. That's what a business mindset is. So anybody that wants, like, say, Planet Mind Control, just go to planetmindcontrol.com. But if they're interested in expanding their financial resources beyond what they are today, their only way to do that is cutting expenses, or cutting the expenses or improving the revenue. So I'm sure you can figure out the cutting expenses part, but I'll show you how to increase the revenue. Just email me at info@jchristoff.com, and I'll let you know when that business program rolls out.
I love it. That's so good, Jason. I really appreciate your time, your energy to my platform, and for all the work that you're doing. Doesn't go unnoticed, mate. I just watch from afar. I've watched your doco, and I really so grateful I was able to work with you 4 years ago, mate. And I appreciate all that you're doing for humanity because you got to rock it up my ass 4 years ago. So I'm definitely taking the mantle as well, mate, because it's time we actually start doing stuff. So I appreciate all the advice you give, and I encourage people to check the show notes because everything Jason talked about will be in there, from the books to the docos to the protocols to the tapes to his email and everything else. So Jason, thank you so much for your time and your energy, mate.
You're welcome. Just take your power back. We got this. Gonna get a little rough, but we got it.
100%. Jason, thank you so much. And if someone wants to find you on social media, how can they find you there? Facebook,
Uh,
Instagram?
Yeah, they can Facebook and Instagram, or just email me personally, info@jchristoff.com. I'll get you on my email list. I'm giving daily updates
You
now
are.
about the Middle Eastern con job, and people, they need daily updates, so it's important.
Yep, 100%. Thanks so much again. Thanks you all for listening, watching wherever in the world you are. I hope Jason ignited something in you because I listened to a podcast very similar to this one 4 years ago, 5 years ago now, that ignited something in me, and I've ended up working with the great man. So hopefully this ignited something in you to start taking some action. So we'll see you all again soon. Cheers.